he started saying he doesn't want to go to school anymore. And I was asking him why, and he said there was a bully in the school. And I thought, he used to say it in the first term, and I talked to the teacher, and she said she told the bully to apologize, and he apologized, but my son told me he still keeps on bullying him. So he would like kick him or punch him or say mean things to him.
Wow.
Or he would say something like,
welcome to the Melanated Files. In this series, we highlight and share the stories of black people from across the globe. Remember to subscribe to this channel for weekly videos and also follow us on social media for regular updates. Let's get into the interview. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Melanated Files. My name is Ranzo, and of course you guys know that I'm your host, and today we're joined by Harriet Ocharo. Right, she is a IT researcher at Hitachi R&D division, of course, research and development. We're gonna get into her story right now. She's from Kenya. All right, so Harriet, thank you so much for having us.
thank you.
All right, so please introduce yourself again, just in case I missed something.
Well, my name is Harriet Ocharo. I'm 31 years old. I come from Kenya.
Okay.
And I came to Japan 5 years ago to do my PhD. And when I finished last year, I got hired by Hitachi to join the R&D team in their cloud research. I always wanted to go somewhere else apart from my own country, because I did my undergraduate degree and my master's degree in Kenya. And I wanted to go somewhere to do my PhD. I was at home with my mother, and I was on maternity leave. Okay. When my mother saw the newspaper with an announcement about Japan, they were giving scholarships. They were interviewing for scholarships for research students. And my mom told me, why don't you apply? I knew nothing about Japan, but I really, I wanted to, I always wanted to travel as well. So it was a chance to combine both travel and also study. Okay. And you do this for free, because when you get a scholarship, it covers everything. Yes. So I just applied, and then I was among the 50 people shortlisted, and then we did a written test. And they cut down the number to 12, and then after that we did interviews. Yes. And I was among the 4 people who got this scholarship.
It's only 4%?
Yeah, for that year. Okay. Every year. Wow. So they gave it two women and 2 men to come to Japan.
From Africa?
No, from Kenya.
From Kenya?
Yeah, so do it for every country. Okay.
What's the scholarship program called?
It's the MEXT scholarship. Okay. So if you just Google MEXT scholarship, you can find it in every country, including the United States, I think. Okay. So the reason Japan does this is because you have to collect ideas from all over the world. If you're just a small country and you want to do research with new ideas, you need. They look for the brightest minds across the whole world, and then they give them scholarships every year to come to do their research studies, like masters or PhD in Japan. Okay. So I was among the lucky people who got this 5 years ago. So they do it every year. So
what was your PhD in? Your dissertation, what was that?
Yes, my dissertation was on the use of AI in education. So how can we improve the e-learning systems? How can we adapt to the students? Yeah. Something like that.
Oh wow, that sounds really fascinating. So what do you do right now at Hitachi? If you can divulge.
Yes, I can't talk about the details, but we build cloud services. We're trying to create new services for the cloud. Okay. And also we help clients implement AI solutions on the cloud.
So what's your ambition? Right, going forward, what's your ambition?
Eventually I want to end up back in Kenya, giving back to the country. And for example, I would love to work with the Ministry of Education and Ministry of IT, informing policy decisions, just based on the data, how can we use IT, computer systems to improve our education system. So I would love to work with that eventually. But in between, I want to gain more experience in the industry. Once I get some experience, then I want to see a bit of the world a bit. And then I want to go back to Kenya and either work in the Ministry of IT or Education, or also work in the university, inspiring young people, tell them to go out there, pursue their dreams. If they want to join the big tech companies, I would inspire them, help them on the journey to become software engineers, salespeople, whatever they want to do. And then I also want to encourage them to like start their businesses, but I want to build networks in the tech industry, in the financing industry.
Okay.
So so if I'm in Kenya and teaching my students, like eventually I want to become a university professor.
Okay.
If I'm teaching my students, like you want to start your own business, you have a business idea, you have a great plan, but you need financing. So if I worked in the industry, maybe I still have some links there, and then I could like link them up.
Okay.
It's like my eventual journey.
So your undergrad and your masters were in computer science?
Yes, my undergraduate was in computer science, but my master's degree was on mobile technology and innovation. So how to create like innovative apps, because the mobile phone is like a big thing in Kenya.
Okay.
I think it's more than 80% and 90% coverage for the mobile phone, which more than computers. So if you want to build something in Kenya or in Africa, you want to focus on the mobile platform. So that was the master's degree.
This is something that I'm passionate about, so I want to ask you about it, since you're actually in the midst of it.
Yeah.
What do you think is the importance of having black people in tech?
I think it's like people don't, there's that, how can I say, like when you're growing up and you don't see people doing something, you don't think you can do it, even if you wanted to do it. But if you see someone doing it, then you actually get encouraged to do it. Like I know some people in Kenya want to come to Japan, but if they hadn't seen like other black people in Japan, they wouldn't know if they can do it, how they can do it. But if you are a black person in tech, you are, even if you don't want it, you actually are a representative of that group. Yeah. So I think it's really important to have black people in tech spaces as well. And another thing is, if you have ideas and you want funding, if black people have done it before, then there's like confidence. And right now it's like, okay, it's a white guy from Harvard whom we're going to give all our funding to. Yeah. Even if there are lots of talented black people with ideas and other minority groups as well. So it's really important to have black women, black people in tech.
So you think just your presence alone is enough?
Yeah.
Or is there something that people can do beyond that are actually in the industry right now?
I think we can do more. For example, I think, first of all, being there is actually the first step, like to be inside, to be like an insider. I think another thing we can do is we try to have like maybe participate in the recruitment programs and encourage people who are hiring to also hire other people. I feel like when you're in tech, then everybody's gonna be like watching you what you're doing. So it's like
as a black person?
Yeah, as a black person, they will hold you to a higher standard than if you are any like a white guy. You'd be like, okay, nobody cares what you do, but if you're a black person, you make a mistake, then okay, all the black people will make that mistake or something like that. So I think they're watching you closely.
They look at us like a group, like, instead of an individual.
As an individual, they will look at you as a group. Wow. Especially if you're working in a place like Japan. If you are a foreigner of any nationality whatsoever, you represent all the foreigners in your group. Wow.
So what has your experience been like so far, like within the industry, from your PhD program? Talk about that a little bit. Your experience being a PhD student in that field or that industry, and then in the industry itself.
So when I was doing my PhD, we'd go to conferences and I would be the only black person in the entire room. Yeah. Wow. Or probably like the only woman in the entire room. So we still, these spaces are still lacking. I feel like in Japan it's even more than in Kenya. I feel like the women here would shy from pursuing careers in tech more than they do in other places. Okay. But I think it's changing slowly. I think I was the first woman in my professor's lab. Okay. Like on the website, it says like all boys who've graduated. Like so now, if we check on our university's website, I'm among the alumni of that lab. Instead of using alumni, you're using all boys because it's like always been men. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. So I think definitely. So
you're sort of like a pioneer. Or trendsetter.
Probably the first student from Africa to graduate with a PhD from Japan Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, which is like a specialized graduate school dealing with technology, knowledge science, and like material science. Very specific field. Yeah.
Oh, congrats. All right, so guys, you gotta write some congrats in the comment section down below. This is a phenomenal woman, so make sure you put it in the comment section down below. Right, so what about your experience at the company itself?
Oh, actually, I would recommend anybody who wants to work in a Japanese company to try working for Hitachi in R&D. It's really they're really trying to change the company, and they don't just say, they actually do it. You know, apparently I heard that in Japan the leave days are like you get 10 leave days a year.
Yeah, wow.
In Hitachi we get 24 leave days a year, and you're encouraged to take them. They say you shouldn't do overtime. They have like implemented things to prevent people who want to do overtime too. Like it's because it's part of the culture in Japan, but they say okay, no overtime, and then they will have like so many holidays. They will close the company, and you can't come to work until you ask your boss to give you permission to come to work. So and then they really if you have a PhD, you join this system called like discretionary employment after you finish a probation period, and you can if you have a meeting somewhere in the city, you don't have to go to work that day. You can work from home in the morning, attend your meeting in the afternoon. If you have a sick child, you can take some days off just for sick children. Like they have some extra days off for taking care of your family. If you need to take a long break, you can actually take it, and then you can come back later to continue. So they mean what they say. So it's a traditional Japanese company, but it's changing, and they're embracing foreigners in the company as well. So your ideas will be valued there. If you have an idea, you want to do research, they will actually help you to write a proposal and get funding to do that research. And so I'm really enjoying working there. And you get assigned a mentor who will work with you for 2 years, who will show you the ropes, and you work together on some projects, and they will find somebody who probably speaks English, because they send some people abroad to the Hitachi America for some years, and they will come back. So those people have worked with foreigners, and then they speak English. Actually, everybody in the R&D probably understands English, but doesn't want to speak it, but they understand English. So you can prepare your documents in English, and I think it really depends on the team that you land in, but I was lucky to work with a great team. So I think they actually see me for who I am. They don't see a black They don't see a black person, they don't see a woman, they just see, okay, brain on a stick, but not like a brain on a stick, but they actually...
A brain on a stick?
Okay, no, they're more... Okay, no, that's not it.
It's just a description, I've never heard it. I've never heard it. No. Okay,
okay. Yeah, so they want to look on the outside, they want to listen to your idea. They're like, okay, so what do you think? And you're free to speak your mind.
Okay.
You hold discussions, then you write your reports in English. So it's been a great experience. I've been there for 7 months now. Okay,
nice. So there's something I want to ask as well, which is, what do you think personally? Like, for instance, I was at this event, and not even just the event itself, but a part of the mission that we have is to help repair and restore the image of black people globally, the perception, right? Yeah. What do you think we can do on an individual basis to try to advance that mission? And then as a collective, what do you think we can do as well to try to change what the media has done to us over the centuries? Yeah,
I think like what you're doing is really great. Like just providing a space for black people to show our humanity, to show who we are. Don't let the narrative be controlled by other people, other people behind the camera. They will focus on some very specific narrow aspects. They want to show something very small, but here in this channel you show like a wide range of people, from artists to musicians to people in school, people in tech, so people in business. So I think that's one way. Like, we need to control our own narrative. So if you have your own blog, I think as an individual you can try that. Like on your social media, on your blog, you can try and tell your story and be genuine and be authentic. Yeah.
True.
On a global scale, I have not really thought about it. I feel like my journey in Japan was kind of like survival, you know, trying to finish my PhD in time because the scholarship, there's a time limit on it. So you can't like spend more than 3 years on your PhD. You get an extra year as a research student, but beyond that, your scholarship will run out.
Okay.
And I was doing my PhD while raising my son.
Okay.
And he was going to a Japanese kindergarten at that time. So I feel like I didn't really give a thought to this until I left school and then joined the like society.
The workforce?
Yeah. That's when I started to realize that we need to, as individuals, if you're in a space where there are no black people and they don't know anything, you need to remain your authentic self. Don't try to change who you are. And keep standing up for what you believe in.
So what did you find challenging during the period that you said you were trying to finish your PhD? Like, what was the most challenging aspects of doing that, and how did you overcome those challenges?
I think the most challenging thing was like I was doing my PhD in rural Japan.
Okay. What prefecture was it?
Ishikawa prefecture.
Okay.
So if Tokyo is in the east, like if you go all the way west until the end of Japan, and where the Japan's across the Japan Sea, we have North and South Korea. So like on that end of Japan, the west side, was Ishikawa prefecture. Okay. The most challenging thing was like the lack of support from family and friends for me. I would make friends, but I think that the nature of friendships in Japan with other foreigners is kind of transient. They come transient. Yeah.
Transient,
They come and go all the time. So you make some friends, but 1 year later they've gone back to their countries. And I didn't have my mother with me, my brother, my sisters, my cousins, my aunts and uncles. Like I have such a huge family in Kenya. So if I need to go for a conference, I would be like, oh my God, what do I do? I could leave my child with my mother or with his father's parents or with my brothers and sisters or something like that. But I didn't have that in Japan. So what I did, I used to actually go to conferences with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was lucky. I got a very cool professor, and he understood that I have a child and I'm a single parent in Japan. So whenever he would book tickets, he would actually book for the 3 of us.
Wow.
The university refunds my payment, but I have to pay for my son out of my own pocket.
Okay.
But he actually understood that. So we'll travel, all 3 of us will go to the conference, and if I have to present, I'll be like, okay, professor, can you watch?
Yeah, oh wow.
Can you watch my son? But mostly I would give him like a tablet to watch YouTube while I did my presentation and answered questions. Okay. So, but I want to say something that later, after spending 2 years at the university, I met this Japanese couple, Mr. and Mrs. Nishikawa, and then they really embraced me and Jeremy. They became like grandparents to us. Okay. So most of the friendships I made in Ishikawa actually with older people, more than 65, 75 years old. I don't know why the young people in Japan, like we can't form really deep friendships with young people in Japan, but with the older people, I made a lot of friends in their 60s, 70s. Okay. Yeah. So this family really helped me. Like when I was finishing when I was finishing the PhD, I was wondering what to do. I was looking for a job. So in Japan, if you're looking for a job, for example, they interview centrally, so they would have students from across Japan come to Tokyo to interview there, and they usually actually refund your transport and your accommodation first. That's cool. But then I didn't know what to do with Jeremy, so the Nishikawas, he stayed with the Nishikawas for like 2 days while I came to Tokyo to do my interview.
With the older couple.
Yeah, the older couple. Yeah, this I call them like my host family because it's something that people can understand, but they're like a second family to me. Wow. Yeah. In fact, last year after my graduation, I went to Kenya to like take a break, and they came with me for the first time to come to Africa.
What was their impression of Africa?
So they have traveled to India before. Okay.
So they traveled to where? India?
India, okay. Yeah. So they actually this couple is kind of they love helping students from my university, and my university was quite diverse in the population. We had people from China,
what was the
India.
name of the university?
JICE, Japan Advanced.
Oh, you said it earlier. Yeah.
Institute of Science and Technology. Yeah.
Okay.
About half of the population is foreign students. Yeah.
Okay.
And they teach in English as well, so you don't have to learn Japanese to study there.
But you know Japanese.
Yeah.
And your level is like what? N1, N2?
No, between N1 and N2. Yeah.
So almost N1.
Almost N1.
Which is actually really good, right? Don't try to downplay it.
Yeah, I'm supposed to do N1 this December, but I haven't been studying for it because something happened recently that made me lose my motivation for studying Japanese.
Is it something that you want to talk about?
Yeah, definitely. I think I should highlight it. It's about my son. So, okay, we spent 4 years in Ishikawa, and he was going to this school that I'm saying is kind of like international. It was like it's a Japanese kindergarten, but it felt really international because there was my son from Kenya, there were kids from China, from Vietnam, from Indonesia, the rest of Asia, and then there was even a kid from there were 2 kids from Egypt, from Libya, I think, or Algeria, North Africa, and a kid from Finland. So it felt like really international. And then those kids grew up with our kids, those Japanese kids, so it was really interesting. And my son had a lot of fun there. In fact, when he was living, and my job is in Tokyo, I couldn't continue to stay there because I graduated from the university and there are not jobs. There are fewer jobs, fewer opportunities in rural Japan. So I decided to move to Tokyo.
Okay.
And we moved in April, and my son joined a Japanese school. And I said, okay, there will be no problem because he speaks Japanese. Japanese is like his first language. He's fluent in it.
Okay.
He speaks it like a native. And English is like a second language to him. Yeah. But I would try and speak English at home, and we would speak Japanese in school. So it was really interesting. But then the first term was between April and July, then end of July. Then we had summer holiday, and then the second term started. He started saying he doesn't want to go to school anymore, and I was asking him why, and he said there was a bully in the school. And I thought he used to say it in the first term, and I talked to the teacher, and she told the bully to apologize, and he apologized, but my son told me he still keeps on bullying him. So I would kick him or punch him or say mean things to him.
Wow.
Or he would say something like, "Oh, you're eating too much." So he stopped asking for seconds. Like in school, they give you very like a bit of food at first. Everybody gets the same, and then you can go for more. So you would stop going for more food, even if it's not full.
Yeah.
Or say something like, "Oh, everybody passed except you." Everybody passed at some kind of test. So they don't actually do exams in Japanese schools, but they do tests every week or something to test how their kanji or their mathematics is progressing and stuff. And so he was starting to get angry in class and losing control, like my son. And he would get angry and throw his pencil if someone upsets him. So I went to the school to see what was going on. And when I went there, I realized the problem was actually much bigger and deeper than I thought.
Oh, wow.
So the nature of bullying in Japanese schools is that it's kind of a group thing. They find that one person who's different from them, and then they try to change them into the way they are.
Okay.
There are 2 things here. For example, another aspect of the Japanese school, I loved the syllabus. I thought it was sufficient. But what happens is a lot of parents take their kids to Juku, like an after-school program, or when you go, they take them to private nursery schools. My son went to public kindergarten, so they don't teach them anything there. But in the private ones, they teach them some of the things they would study in elementary school.
Okay.
And a lot of the mothers in my neighborhood actually don't work, so they are home. So they teach their kids some of those things as well.
Okay.
So my son was learning these things for the first time, and I think everybody realized, oh, he's learning for the first time. They're trying to teach him. They're trying to. They see him doing 1 + 1 before he can write the answer. They tell him what the answer is. And another thing is they give them homework every day. It's not a lot, but for me, I would get home at 6 p.m. And he's also been up since 6 in the morning, so 6 p.m. is not the time for me to start checking his homework and stuff. I didn't realize that homework even at elementary school is really like a part of the syllabus. You should do it, and then like kind of helps you refresh for the next day. So when he would go to school, he is catching up with some, and the problem is the other kids realize, okay, he's the one who's catching up. So they've done the homework, they're just watching him to see what he's doing, and then telling him the answer while he's working it. So he got angry, and then the teacher would like send him out of class to go calm down, and she would send him to this hokenshitsu, which is a room where kids like the room where there's a nurse who, like, if you have a cat, she will give you a band-aid or something. When I went to see that lady, she was like mean and just racist. She was looking at us like what the hell are you doing in my office, kind of facial expression. And I was thinking, is this where Jeremy comes every day? Because the teacher told me that every day he would lose his cool for 4 to 5 times a day.
Wow.
Every single day. Then she would send him there, and then he would miss like a whole part of the class. So when he comes back to class, he's now catching up, and again everybody is waiting for my son to make a mistake so that they can correct him. If he even stands up to go to the toilet, everybody's like, Ocharo can sit down. Like he doesn't get space to like just be himself. So if he's like, how they will like tell him how to hold a spoon, how to sit, how to do everything, because they think they're teaching him. And another thing that happened was like, if they're playing and it's like, okay, for example, he was like reading a book, and break time is over, they would snatch the book away and tell him, okay, no, break time is over, okay? So even if you're in the middle of a sentence, they're like, okay, no, this break ends. Or he's playing with a spinning top, and then the top is still rolling, and it's like 5 p.m. Okay, it's time to stop playing. Someone will come and like kick it. So he was getting bullied, kind of like by like the whole kind of group. And you can't stand up to a bully in Japan, because then he will also get bullied. Like bullying feels like a part of the culture here. So there's in every place there's its good side and bad side, right? I mean, I feel like I was living in the light side of Japan. Like at work, everybody was showing me their best face. They bring their best face to work, their politeness, everything. But my son was like living in the shadows of Japan, like the dark side. The kids don't have tatemae, they don't have a face, they just themselves. And the teachers also, they don't care, because these are kids and they're juniors. Okay, in Japan, you really, if someone is like beneath you in the hierarchy, you don't care. You can address them however you like. But if someone is above you, then you have to be respectful. But so if you're a teacher and these are your kids, you don't have to pay them any attention or treat them any special way. So I was actually in the school when the teacher was telling me that she can't let me observe the class on that day, but she told me, okay, let's make a promise with your son that today he will not throw things. And then she bent down and yelled in his face. She was like, don't throw things. It's okay if you get mad, but I don't want you to throw things, because if you throw things and you hurt somebody, it will cause so much trouble for your mother. And everybody, she ended the tirade with, everybody hates that. Actually, she said like, Soreminagaya, but it's not what she said, it was how she was saying it. And she's saying this while I'm there, so I don't know how bad it was when I'm not there. And so I felt like it was a really toxic environment for my son. And Japanese people will bully anybody, but in school, I don't know why it's tolerated so much in school, but to bully anybody is different. Like if your hair is brown, you get bullied. They bullied the princess of Japan, like when she was in elementary school. Like her mother had to go to school to sit with her. So, and then I'm bringing a black boy into a school, like there's no other black kids. So I really didn't do my research that well. I thought that since we speak Japanese, would be better off anywhere in Japan. But I ended up in the suburbs. I thought it was good because it was like near my job, and we were living very near the school. It's like a nice leafy, not leafy, but okay, quite really nice area. Like really Tokyo suburb. And so I didn't know, but this I might have been better off somewhere where there were more foreigners in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And so there's like other kids in school, so they don't know who to bully, like who is the focus of the bullying. But if you just like, it's only like one kid, so he was getting like isolated from the school. It was getting really hard, and I decided to withdraw him from the school. And I actually took time off and took him back to Kenya.
Wow.
And then I came back to Japan, and I talked to my superiors at work, and they understood immediately. Like they know it can be a serious thing in Japan. I think bullying can be something anywhere, but it would be easier if I could like understand it, culturally. Like might be easier to deal with it if I wasn't in Japan. So yeah, that's what happened. And then after so when that happened, and if I can take him to a different, so my options are like, first I was thinking of my options. What are my options in a time like this? I can try and fight this thing in the school, but it will take a lot of time and energy to do that. And I could take him to a different school, but I cannot be sure that the same thing won't happen in a different Japanese school. And to change schools, you actually have to move out of where you're living to the zone where of your target school. You can't. And moving in Japan will cost you like anything like $5,000.
It's expensive, yeah.
It's very expensive to move, just to move in the first time. And then I could take him to an international school, but international schools cost somewhere between
it's more expensive.
Yeah, 100,000 to 200,000 yen per month just for tuition or something like that. It's quite expensive. And then he was really like suffering. He told me in Japanese that once I leave Japan, I'm never coming back. I'm like, how can a 6-year-old say
he's
something
6?
like that? 6.
Wow.
Yeah, he was only in the first grade. Like it was too much to take. It was too. I felt it was too much for a young kid to handle. So when I was dealing with this last month, I actually stopped studying Japanese.
Okay.
It's too bad. Like I registered for the exam and I was ready to do it, but I lost my motivation.
Because you don't think you're gonna be here longer.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult for me to be here longer. I don't want to be like. My parents are actually quite young, they're in their 50s, but I don't want to be one of those people who leave their kid off with their parents and then they go living life somewhere. And I don't think it's worth it for me to stay in Japan, working here while my son goes to school in Kenya. It's not that I can't find a job in my country or something like that, or in another place also in the world. So I feel like my time in Japan is quite limited. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So you said you wanted to share this with people as well.
Yeah.
So that they're prepared, so they can actually understand and see that side.
Yeah, if they want to come to Japan, they need to understand. As an adult, if you already have a sense of identity and you already know who you are, you can come to Japan and survive it. But because this country, I think it changes you a bit. You before you realize, you change in very small ways when you don't even realize.
Intend to.
Yeah. For example, when I enter a train, the first thing I do is like try and shrink myself into a small space, and like I take as little space as possible so I don't disturb my neighbor. I make sure I leave like a micro gap between me and my neighbor, even in a crowded train. I'm like, what's wrong with human contact, like unintentional human contact? Something like that. So I feel like if you come with a kid and you can try and protect them before they go to school, but if they start going to a Japanese school, they're going to change. There's going to be a gap between you and your child as well. And then there will be the bullying thing. It's not like it's a short, but it's something you have to think about before you put your child in a Japanese school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Something to have in mind, and yeah.
Wow.
It's
wow.
Good stuff, yeah. But I don't think that everybody's going to be bullied, There are kids who successfully conform Like,
so okay. So as you said earlier,
yeah,
it's about bullying a person into conformity.
Into conformity.
So that's the thing. So that's the end goal.
That's the end goal.
But what if you can't?
So yeah, you're gonna have like a really hard time fitting in Japanese school. Yeah. So yeah.
So this is, as you said, in the shadows. It's another side.
Yeah, this is the dark side of Japan.
Because and it's funny because sometimes we receive messages from people who are single mothers.
Yeah.
Right, and they're asking like, man, like, how is it? Like, can we come? What can we do?
That's the crazy part, actually. As a single parent, you get support from the Japanese government. So they have like, depending on the level of your income, you'll get like an extra stipend per month. Okay. For your child. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's not gonna be enough. You still have to work. You still have to.
But what about in terms of just like what you're talking about, like having a child in school and then having to deal with that. Yeah. Maybe not having someone to look after him when you have to travel. Yeah. Yeah, and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah, it's much harder when you don't have a partner who can. It's much harder when you don't have a partner who can look after your child if you have to work late on some days, or if you want to go off somewhere. I feel like if your child is older and they're going to an international school, you could make it. For example, they have at City Hall in my city, they have family support section. So these are like urban Obasans and Obasans, like about middle-aged women or like older women grandmas, and you can hire them for quite cheap, maybe 800 yen to 1,000 yen an hour, and they can pick your child up from school, have dinner with them, and then when you come late, they will wait for you or something. So I actually use that service for some time. And it was good. It's good. It depends on who you will get. But I got this lady, and she got along with the son so well. She's like a grandma to him. So some days, like for example, when we had like a welcome party at work, and I can excuse myself for other parties or other gatherings, but it was my welcome party, so I can't really disagree. So I just told I called this lady, and then she took my son from school. When they had dinner, they went home and they waited for me. So there's some kind of support you can get. But for example, if you come to Japan for like a short time, it could be fine. But if you want to stay long term, you really have to think about how your child is going to fit in the society, because this is a country that will not cease to remind you every single day that you are different. My son knew he was a gaijin, a foreigner, when he was 2.5 or 3. He doesn't know what that is. He doesn't know the concept of countries, but he already knew he was like a foreigner. And then I had to like try and teach him about Kenya, so I'd make sure we go back to Kenya every year, so he knows, okay, this is where like, the people come from. This is why they say you're a foreigner or something like that. And then I had to tell him that actually Japanese people can be foreigners too. When they go abroad, like it feels like, okay, it's just Japanese versus foreigner. The world is like just divided into, but no. Japanese people can be foreigners too when they live in Japan. So I had to tell him, okay, in Kenya now you're Kenyan, and the Japanese come to Kenya, they will be the gaijin. I just teach him a concept that there's nothing special about being Japanese, although people will disagree with me. People might disagree with me.
So he's okay now, like in Kenya?
Yeah, he called me, so he was so happy. The last time he called me, my mother is taking him to church, and they told me he wants to tell them a story. And then before, he used to speak Japanese to me only, but this time when we spoke on the phone and I was trying to speak Japanese, he replied in English. Okay. So he's picking up his English. And then I have cousins, I have a lot of cousins. I have cousins the same age as him, and they've been playing the whole day, because in Kenya our long holiday is at the end of the year. So November and December are school holidays. So he has like plenty of kids to play with. So he's happy. Although he calls me and says, come tomorrow. Told him I'll come for the December holidays.
So I'm assuming that that's the part of Japan that you don't like, the bullying aspect, right?
Yeah, the bullying
from what
aspect,
you've articulated, I've never actually heard it in such detail before. So it's It's quite something.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
You don't know about it until you go through it. Like before I joined elementary school, I used to I used to hear of the bullying, but I didn't know how deep it really was, and what a big problem it really was. I thought it would be something that we would deal with when he's in middle school. You know, I thought that in Kenya, I would say about middle school, when kids become teenagers, then they start forming groups and cliques. You know, they start to find the cool kids versus the not so cool kids. But when they're kids, I thought like, you know, the first grade, second grade, third grade.
So it can happen anywhere, at any stage in
any stage. Yeah, system. But usually by the time they are 12, they can talk to you. They can maybe try to stand up for themselves. They can explain what is happening. I think my son had a hard time trying to explain what was happening to me. Yeah, my son couldn't articulate what was happening. He only told me I'm being bullied by this one kid. But I don't think he could explain to me that he's feeling isolated, he's feeling alone, he's got no close friends, people don't come to play in our house, we don't have sleepovers, that kind of thing. He couldn't articulate it quite properly. So anyway, it could happen anywhere, but it's quite more serious in Japan, and in Japan it starts earlier, as early as the first grade. Okay. And if your child is different, that's like an obvious. If they look different, that's already a very big, like you just put. So
what do you think in terms of advice? Because it was so extreme for you that you had to, you know, send your son back to stay with your parents. So do you think something could be done, especially for foreigners, or foreigners could do something to safeguard their child as much as possible?
So actually there was a group on Facebook called Parents with Kids in Japanese Schools. So it's like a support group for parents. So what they do, like they try and have confidence building activities for kids. Like we would get together every weekend and have activities for kids who look different. So there's a lot of kids whose parents are like of a different nationality, even if one of their parents is Japanese. Or just kids who've left Japan and then they're coming back and the Japanese is not so good, so like international kind of group. So that can help them like notice that there are other people out there. Like what happens, like they made my son feel like there's something wrong with him. They make you feel like, oh, what's wrong with me? Like why can't I be like everybody else? But if you find other kids who are also like you, then you feel, okay, so this can be a way for them to cope and form friendships outside of the school. And you can have your kid join other activities as well. Like they can join a music group or like a sports club, something that really builds their confidence, takes their time, so that when they're in school they can cope with that. Yeah. And I think the government of Japan needs to do something as well. Like the school will tell you, no, there's no bullying happening here. They told in my school, they say that they told everybody to not bully Jeremy. I'm like, that's another thing. You're putting him on the spotlight.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, help this kid. So the other kids think they're actually helping him by teaching him Japanese manners, by teaching him how to do everything. They think they're helping him, but they're not. So I think the Japanese government, in addition to dealing with the bullying in the school themselves, they also need to find a way to help foreigners as well. Address that bullying issue.
Wow, that was
big, yeah.
That was big, man.
Like there was a YouTuber, kind of famous, who teaches Japanese, and he was giving an analogy of saying how people complain about racism or about things like this in Japan. Like saying, okay, there's an old lady who every day gives you sweet potatoes, but one day she gives you like stinky carrots, and then you're like, oh my God. So you forget all the good things that Japan has done for you, and then you complain about this one stinky carrots thing. Like you're forgetting all the sweet potatoes you're being given. And I kind of agreed with that analogy, but one day this is not carrots like a stinking pile of poop on your lap. You cannot ignore that. This is like a really big, it like outweighs
So you're talking about life in Japan.
Yeah, kind of like a balance. You need to find your balance in Japan. Like there will be some good aspects, like really good aspects, like safety, for example. My son used to work from home from school by himself. Like medical standard, like we've got like universal kind of coverage. And if you're a single parent household, you get like, you don't even, in Japan you have the national health insurance and you pay 30% of most of the costs.
Yeah.
But if you have a kid under 18, I think they're free, and if you're a single parent, it's free for you as well.
Okay.
So I'm just like, I try to remember all the good things that Japan has done for me. Like I got my PhD here. My son had enjoyed his time in the nursery school, which also, if you get a government nursery school, and which I would advise anybody to go to rural Japan, because in the cities it's really hard, it's crowded. But in rural Japan, you can easily get into a nursery school there because there are fewer kids. And you pay according to your income. So I was a student with no income, so I paid like the minimum fee, like 4,000 yen a month or something like that. So all the good things that I have enjoyed in this country, I want to appreciate that. And if somebody wants to come to Japan and also like experience living here, learning the language, like for me, I love kanji because it's like this secret code. And the moment you know one kanji, like a whole new world opens up for you. So I loved learning Japanese. But on the other hand, now that we started school, that balance is off. Like I'm off balance. Okay, my son's well-being is under threat in a Japanese school here. That's been my experience. So when you reach a time when I feel like, okay, I think I've got the most I could of this country, I think it's time to go. Like living in Japan was never really my long-term dream. Like I didn't know much about Japan until when I was making the application. That's when I started to learn more about the country. I didn't speak a word of Japanese. I didn't know what hiragana, katakana was before coming to Japan. It was like I just took a leap of faith to come and like experience this country. And so it's not, so for me it's not hard to let go, to like move on. Maybe we'll come back in the future. Nobody knows what the future looks like. But sometimes when you find that balance is not there, I think it's okay to like try a lot elsewhere.
Okay. So you're still trying to figure it out, right? You haven't finalized anything yet.
I haven't finalized anything yet.
Okay, you're still trying to see the best way
work,
forward.
I haven't said nothing yet.
This video is going on the internet, but you haven't finalized anything. You're still trying to work things out and figure out how you're going to move forward. But I have told my bosses that I've sent my son to Kenya, and they know that he was being bullied, and I'm going to take some time off from work just to figure things out. Okay. Well, I definitely wish you all the best.
Thank you. While you find the good things in Japan, don't forget to check the other side. For example, I love all the the conveniences and good things, but on the other side, relationships are hard here. Making friends.
In terms of like romantic relationships?
Both romantic relationships and friendships as well. So, for example, like dating has been near impossible for me in this country, and it's kind of like you have to lower your standards or like just date anyone who will date you, but you don't want to do that. You want to date somebody because you want to date them, not because they're the only ones who are agreeing to date you. So you might get those people who are like gene hunters. They will date any foreigner. It doesn't even matter what you believe in, what you think about. They just see, okay, a foreigner, I'm gonna date them, but they don't want to like see what's inside of you and see if you're compatible or not. But if you're kind of lucky, but I think that a lot of foreign women struggle to find real relationships here. As for friendships, I make friends with a lot of older Japanese people, but I don't know, younger people, if they're shy or they're too busy with their jobs, it's very hard for me to form friendships with them as well, even though I speak Japanese. And for friendships with other international people, that's really been helpful for me. It's been like an anchor for me in Tokyo, especially as I came in. But the problem is, again, kind of people come and go all the time. So you want to make friends for a long time. In Japan, it's kind of a problem. You might end up quite isolated. So it's something to prepare for if you're coming to Japan. What else do you want to say?
Wow. Oh, this one was a bit heavy. So I guess I can ask you. So what drives you personally? Like what keeps you going? What motivates you to get through hard times? What's that thing for you?
I don't know. I'm gonna say it's kind of cliche, but I think my son is one of the greatest motivators, you know. Like if I wanna like give up and just don't keep up pursuing my dreams or something, I feel like I have to do this for my son as well. But I don't know, I feel like I have something in me, like some ambition. I have so many things to do, so many places to go, and I feel like Japan was a part of that journey, but it's not the only part of it. So I don't know what motivates me, but I am quite motivated, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you know, whether you decide to work something out here or go somewhere else, like I wish you the best. We wish you the best. You know, like in terms of even like your goals with education and AI and what you want to do in Kenya in the future, whatever it is. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you.
And I'm pretty sure everyone in the comment section, write some good stuff in the comment section, right down below. You know how it is, right? So I want to thank you so much for your time. But before even that, tell them where they can find you online, right? Everywhere.
So I said my name is Harriet Ocharo, but actually online I'm known as Savvy Kenya, SAVVY Kenya. So I have a blog. I've been blogging for about 10 years now.
Okay, wow.
Although the last 6 months have been so crazy, I haven't updated the blog yet. I also have, I started my own website. It's called savvykenya.com. So I have, if you just Google Savvy Kenya. I'm on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm also on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. So yeah.
Okay.
It'd be nice to interact with everybody there as well.
Okay. So Savvy Kenya, guys. So that's where you can find Harriet. So Harriet, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. All the best again.
Thank you.
And guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and remember to subscribe to this channel for weekly videos on the Black experience across the globe. Until next time, bye for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to share your story or have us visit your region, send us a message on any of our social media platforms or via our website.
That's good.